Hi students and welcome to Science for Young Minds. Again, my name is Teacher Babs and I will be your teacher for today. Now we are going to study more about living things in the environment. Are you all ready? Alright. Living things have a lot in common, and one of the most important thing about a living thing is that we all eat. Yes, food isn't just for people, but also for plants and animals. Why? Because we all need energy to survive. Well, that is something that we are about to study today. So let's have fun and stay tuned.
Alright, so for today, we are going to study about food chain, food web, and decomposer. Most of us love eating our favorite foods. It can be a healthy salad, flavorful pizza, tasty spaghetti, crunchy fried chicken, meaty hamburger, or juicy fruits. Eating is not just about its deliciousness. Have you ever wondered why we eat? Well, the thing is we need to eat for our body to function. We need energy to support our daily activities such as playing our favorite sport or even studying for a science test. It all applies to all living things. We all need energy to stay alive and to grow. Where do you think this energy comes from? As we know, we get our food from plants and animals. But how about the plants? How do plants eat? Well, plants get energy directly from the sun. They use the energy from the sunlight to make their own food. This food-making process is what we call photosynthesis. The word photosynthesis comes from the Greek language. Photo means light, and synthesis means putting together. Now, it's easy for us to understand. Photosynthesis just means putting together with light. What do green plants put together to make their food? For photosynthesis to happen, plants need different elements. First, of course, is sunlight or light. Then they also need carbon dioxide and water. Another element is what we call chlorophyll, or a green pigment in the leaves, which is important in photosynthesis. It helps trap energy from sunlight during this process. Going back to our example, plants take in the carbon dioxide from the air, absorbs water or minerals from the soil, and then get the energy from the sun to make sugar molecules or glucose and oxygen. The sugar is used by the plants as their food, and the oxygen is given out into the atmosphere for other living things to use. Animals, on the other hand, get their energy indirectly from the sun. But how does this energy get passed to other living things? The answer is the energy flows between living things known as food chain. It shows how energy flows or moves from one organism to another. So what is a food chain exactly? Food chain is a feeding relationship between the producers and the consumers. A food chain always starts with the producer, for example, grass. And then, consumers, take for instance, we have beer and tiger. Lastly, at the end of each food chain, we have decomposers such as bacteria and earthworm. Now, the arrow in the food chain means eaten by. It shows where the energy goes to. Producers are known as autotrophs because they make their own food. Plants are called producers. They make their own food by using light energy from the sun, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the soil to produce their own food in the form of glucose and sugar. Now this process is what we call photosynthesis. Next is consumer. Consumers are organisms that eat other organisms to live. Animals are called consumers because they cannot make their own food. So they need to consume or eat plants or animals. Consumer is also known as heterotrophs in the food chain. Now we have three types of consumers in the animal kingdom, and we will discuss all of them one by one. First is herbivore. Herbivores or primary consumers are animals that gets their energy from eating only plants. For example, we have horses, elephants, and giraffes. Herbivores are animals that eat mainly plants such as leaves, grass, flowers, seeds, roots, fruits, bark, pollen, and much more. For example, some herbivores are cows, bees, grasshoppers, and sheep. Next, secondary consumer are what we call carnivores. Carnivores are animals that eat only meat. For example, we have lion, tiger, and eagle. Sometimes, carnivores are called predators. Organisms that carnivores hunt are called prey. Carnivores are a major part of the food chain. A description of which organisms eat which other organisms in the wild. For the third and the last one, we have omnivores. Omnivores are animals that eat either other animals or plants. For example, us, humans. Omnivores obtain their energy and nutrients from the plant and animals that they eat. For example, or other example of omnivores are bears, raccoons, apes and monkeys, and other birds. Now let me explain to you what is a decomposer. Decomposers are eat decaying matter. When we say decaying matter, they are dead plants and animals. Decomposers play an important role in the food chain by digesting or breaking down the dead plants or animals and put it back into the soil. Now examples of the decomposers are bacteria, earthworms, and fungi. In a habitat, a source of food can be eaten by many kinds of animals. For example, in a grassland, grass can be eaten by zebras, rabbit, and giraffes. And all of these animals may be eaten by lions. Now, did you know that we can link them together to form a food web? Let's learn about food web. Food web consists of many food chains linked together. It is similar to a food chain but larger. It is a diagram that combines many food chains into one picture. Scientists describe each level in a food web with a trophic level. Here are the 5 trophic levels. Level 1. Level 1 are the green plants or the producers. Level 2, we have animals that eat plants or herbivores. They are also called as primary consumers. Level 3, we have the animals that eat the herbivores or the secondary consumers, also called as carnivores. Level 4, we have the animals that eat the carnivores or the tertiary consumers. Level 5, we have the animals at the top of the food chain are called apex predators. Nothing eats these animals. Now, you know about the food chain and the food web. Now let us take note. In the food chain, grass uses the energy from the sun and makes its own food. This process is what we know as photosynthesis. Next, a deer eats the grass, and then a lion eats the deer. Now remember that we can read this food chain as grass eaten by deer and the deer eaten by lion. Now there is another group of organisms at the end of each food chain. This group is known as decomposers. Decomposers break down waste materials from dead animals and plants. Now, food chains can be linked together to form a food web because a living thing can belong to more than one food chain. For example, on your screen, Algae can be eaten by prawn, carp, fly, and slug. Waterweed can also be eaten by prawn, carp, fly, and slug. Again, a food web consists of all the food chains in a single ecosystem.
And that's all for today. See you all on the next episodes of Science for Young Minds. Stay safe and goodbye!